Hello everyone, I Piyush Goyal welcome you to Voxcel's YouTube channel. So in this video we will discuss about Cambridge IELTS Academic Book 20th Third Test Reading Passage 1. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So the passage is about frozen food. So it's very important to read the title of the passage because it will help you to formulate some idea like what kind of passage this is, what kind of information you may read in the passage, and we will read the subtitle as well. A US perspective on the development of the frozen food industry. So this particular passage is about frozen food, and on top of that it is given that it's written according to the US perspective, like US viewpoint on the development of frozen food industry. So in US, how this industry developed or things like that. So what we will do is, if you have seen my previous video, you should know that we will not read the paragraph or these paragraphs just yet. What we will do is we will go straight to the questions and we will see what kind of questions we have to deal with and read the first question then. Okay, now questions. Here the question states choose one word only. So it's very important to read instruction words because if you write two or more words for these seven questions, though your one word that you have written in those two or three words may be correct, but your answer will be marked as incorrect. So it's that much important to read instruction words. So, okay, we have one set of question number 1 to 7 and we have to write one word. And for 8 to 13, we have to write true, false and not given. Okay, these are the two sets of questions that we have from question 1 to 13. So, we have these two sets of questions. So, first question. So, it's the history of frozen food. Obviously, the paragraph is about frozen food, and it only deals about the history, not the present or the future, only the historical aspects of the frozen food. 2000 years ago, so this is quite important information to gather. South America, so in we have to find this location, only then we will be able to find our answer. People conserved the nutritional value of something. So whenever there is of, the word should be of something. Okay, here should be a name of some item or material using a method of freezing then drying. So people used freezing and then drying method to conserve. It can be you should be very careful that you will not find the exact word like conserved. Okay, in the paragraph you will most probably encounter paraphrases or synonyms. Okay, so conserved meaning to say preserved, kept safe, things like that. Nutritional value of, we have to see which products nutritional value did we conserve or did people conserve using these two methods. First they froze and then they dried. So they may be using past because it's about past obviously. So these are our keywords that we have to take care of. So 2000 years ago. Let's read the paragraph now. At some point in history, humans discovered that ice preserved food. There is evidence that the winter ice was stored to preserve food in the summer as far back as 10,000 years ago. So here they are talking about 10,000 years ago, but we need to find 2000 years ago. So this cannot be our location. 2000 years ago. So here it is. 2000 years ago, the inhabitants of South America, again, South America, South America. Andreas Mountains had a unique means of conserving potatoes for later consumption. They froze them overnight, so here is something about freezing, and then trampled them to squeeze out the moisture and then dried in the sun. So freezing and drying. This preserved their nutritional value. if not their aesthetic appeal. Okay, now I will give you a few seconds till I am writing question number one here. Okay, I'll write question number one later. I will give you few seconds. Figure out the answer. Yes. So time's up. So I hope you have figured out the answer, identified it, and the answer is, I'm gonna write it here. The answer is potatoes. I hope you were able to find this answer. If not, don't worry. I will tell you why this is our answer. Let me mark it here. Okay, now if you were not able to identify this answer, don't worry. I am here to tell you why this will be our answer. Just one second, guys. So why this is our answer? So here they have saying people conserve the nutritional value of something. So here they are saying conserving potatoes. So let me just mark it in red also. So they are saying conserving potatoes. Okay, so they have conserved potatoes, and now we will say where the nutritional value is, or where there it is written their frying, freezing, and drying method. Now read very carefully or listen very carefully what I'm going to tell you. Here they have used them, so they here refer to people. They people froze them is like reference pronoun. It is used for plural subjects. So potatoes obviously es or plural, so they froze them overnight. So they are frozen, they froze potatoes overnight, then trampled them again. Who are being trampled? Potatoes. Squeeze out the moisture and then dried them again. Them, which thing are which thing was dried? Potatoes. This preserved their nutritional value. Again here there refers to potatoes. So they have used referencing pronouns later in the sentences to refer to back to potatoes. I hope it is clear. Moving on to the next question. 1851. So again 1851 USA. This is our location. So wherever 1851 and USA is written, we will find our answer near to that. Dash was kept cool by ice. So we have to find something was kept cool by ice during transportation in specially adapted trains. So you should be very careful. You will not find the exact word, but we have to understand what kind of word are we looking for in the paragraph. Dash was kept cool by ice. So during transportation in trains, I think mostly if we want to cool something or we want to preserve something, only then we cool them with ice, okay, by using ice or in ice buckets. So here show something about maybe some eating item, eatable could be our answer, some sort of eatable. Let's see. Natural ice remained the main form of refrigeration until late in the 19th century. But okay, this is 19th century, I have told you earlier. In the early 1800s, ship owners from Boston, USA had enormous blocks of Arctic ice stored all over the Atlantic for the purpose of food preservation. In 1851, railroads began putting blocks of ice in insulated rail cars to send butter from Ordensburg, New York to Boston. So if you are familiar, New York and Boston both are in the USA. So now I will give you again the answer is in like from this here from in 1851 to Boston between these lines. So I will give you like 5 seconds to figure out the answer. So time starts now. Time's up. I hope you have figured out the answer, and the answer is yes, butter. Let me mark it in red. I hope everybody identified the correct answer, and if not, again, as I told you, don't worry. I will tell you why this answer and how this answer we arrived at this particular answer. Just let me write this answer first here. Okay. So here they are saying butter was kept cool, sorry, dash was kept cool by ice during transportation. So here you can see railroad first began putting blocks of ice. So here's something about ice was kept cool by ice during transportation. So they are transporting from New York to Boston. Sorry about that. From New York to Boston. So in specially adapted trains. So in insulated rail cars. Okay, so they were sending butter from place A to place B in insulated rail cars, like they are specially adapted trains, because in normal trains you do not find insulated compartments or insulations of this kind of thing to like send butter from one place to other. You in normal trains we they train normal trains carry passengers from one place to another. So to carry like goods, there are special trains that run to carry goods from one place to other. So they are called like it has been called specially adapted train. So I hope it is clear. Moving on to the third question. 1880 Australia. So wherever we will find these two words, our answer will be there. Two kinds of dash were the first two kinds of dash were the first frozen food shipped to England. So we have to find two kinds of something. Again, it should be some sort of material eatable. Basically, that was frozen food. Obviously, if it is written frozen food, so it should be some kind of eatable. But the first frozen food shipped to England. So from outside, we imported something to England. Okay, so we have to find what two kinds of something, like there should be a particular thing of which two different kinds of that particular thing were imported to or shipped to England. Let's see, 1880 Australia. Finally, in 1870, this is 1870, Australian inventors found a way to make mechanical ice. So let me just mark it. So if we need it for true false, we will be able to find it. Australian inventors, this. So if you want to read carefully, you can. Okay, I am gonna read it carefully a bit so that we can practice together. But for the sake of the IELTS exam, until or unless you find 1880 in Australia, there is no need to read extra lines. They okay. Way to use mechanical ice. Okay, these are in inverted commas, so I underlined it. Them. They used a compressor to force a gas, ammonia at first and later freon through a condenser. The compressed gas gave up some of its heat as it moved through the condenser. Then the gas was released quickly into the low pressure evaporator coil, where it became liquid and cold. So here they're saying talking about the process that was used in 1870. Air was blown over the evaporator coil, and this cooled air passed into an insulated compartment, lowering its temperature to freezing point. Initially, this process was invented to keep Australian beer cool even in hot weather. So, initially, this method was used to keep beer cool even in hot weather, but Australian cattlemen were quick to realize that if they could put this new invention on a ship, they could export meat across the oceans. So the eatable thing here is meat. Let's see, but two kinds we haven't found till yet. 1880. So here is 1880. In 1880, a shipment of Australian beef and mutton was sent. So one, two. There are two kinds. Sent frozen to England. So there is Australian word also. So I'll again, you know our ritual. So I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to figure out the answer, and your 5 seconds start now. Okay, time's up. I hope you have figured out the answer, identified it. I'm gonna write it here and let's see, were you able to figure out, call out the correct answer or not? The correct answer for this particular option is meat. Ah, just 1 second, guys. What I'm doing. So now, many of you must be wondering how meat is our answer. So here they are saying two kinds of meat. So here they have said export meat across the ocean. So they were exporting, they were Australian cattlemen were exporting meat across the ocean. Okay, and the two kinds of meat they exported were beef and mutton. So that's why we cannot write two words, so beef and mutton obviously, because we have to write only one word. So these are two types of meat. So they have written meat here. I hope it is clear. Moving on to the next question. 1917 onwards USA. So onwards means after 1970. Clarence Birdseye introduced innovations including, so we have to find the name of this person, Clarence Birdseye, quick freezing methods. So he introduced many innovations that included quick freezing methods so that dash did not spoil the food. So here in this blank we have to write something that usually spoiled the taste of the food, but because of quick freezing method, it whatever this product, let's just call it x did not spoil the food. So in the paragraph it may be written x used to spoil the food, and then Clarence Birdseye invented something that prevented this from happening, something like that. So you have to be very careful about that. Okay, so in the paragraph, again I'm repeating the same thing so that it can be clear to you. In the paragraph it may be written x used to spoil the taste of food, or x spoiled the taste of food, and to prevent this Clarence Birdseye introduced something or innovated something. So do not say it did not, where is did not. So his innovation stopped something that used to spoil the taste of food. Okay, let's see 1917 onwards USA. While the frozen food was still palatable, there was some deterioration. During the freezing process, crystals formed within the cells of the food, and when the ice expanded and the cells burst, this spoiled flavor and texture of the food. So many of you might be wondering, okay, I have found the answer, but we will not mark the answer just yet because we haven't found 1917. Maybe the answer is something else, not in this. If the answer is same, I will tell you why I said so. But we will read for 1917. The modern frozen food industry began with the indigenous Inuit people of Canada in 1912. A biology student in Massachusetts, USA, named Clarence Birdseye. So here 1912, but we want to find 1917. Ran out of money and went to Labrador in Canada to trap and trade furs. So he then went to Canada to do this. While he was there, he became fascinated with how the Inuit would quickly freeze fish in the Arctic air. The fish looked and tasted fresh even months later. Birdseye returned to the US in 1917. Here it is, and began developing mechanical freezer capable of quick freezing food. So here is quick freezing methods. Birdseye methodically kept sorry, inventing better freezer and gradually built a business selling frozen fish from Gloucester, Massachusetts. In 1929, his business was solid and became General Foods, but he stayed with the company as director of research, and his sorry, and his division continued to innovate. But till now we haven't read something about this. Birdseye was responsible for several key innovations that made the frozen food industry possible. He developed quick freezing techniques. So quick freezing methods, quick freezing techniques that reduce the damage that crystal caused, as well as the technique of freezing product packages it was to be sold in. So he reduced the damage that crystal caused, as well as he introduced some other technique. Again, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to find out the answer, and time starts now. Time's up. So the answer is, let me write it here, crystals. So here is this particular word. Let me just write the question number. So I hope everyone identified the correct answer. But if you were not able to do so, again, I'm just telling you, don't worry. I'll tell you why this is the answer. So they did not spoil the food. Here they have written reduced the damage. Reduced, okay, let me mark. Reduced the damage that crystal caused. So if something is causing the damage and we are trying to prevent it, so obviously they are spoiling the taste of the food. And now coming back up, I told you I found the answer here. So here it is written that during the freezing process, I will not mark it so that you can identify it later. During the freezing process, crystal formed within the cells of the food, and when the ice expanded, then the cells burst. This spoiled the flavor and the texture of the food. So what spoiled the flavor and texture of the food? That crystals which formed within the cell, and when they burst they spoiled the flavor. So from here also we could have identified our answer, but in this particular paragraph they have written the exact words that we were looking for and the correct answer also. Okay, that's why I told you I think I have found the answer, but till I found the other words of the answer in that particular sentence, I cannot say for sure that this answer is correct or not. Moving to the next question, fifth. Packaging products with dash so that the product was visible. So we were packaging products with so dash so that product was visible. So if product is visible while in packaging, so it should be transparent packaging, something like that. But we cannot write transparent packaging or transparent paper because we have to write only one word. Let's see what kind of packaging we used so that our product was visible even from outside. He introduced the use. We have to sold in. Also introduced the use of cellophane, the first transparent material for food packaging, which allowed consumer to see the quality of the product. Bird's eye product also came in convenient size packages. Okay, that's a bit different. So our answer is in between these this sentence. So again, I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to identify the answer, and then I will write it here. So if time starts now, time's up. So the correct answer is cellophane. So here it is written. So if you figured out the correct answer, congratulations. If you didn't, don't worry. I'm gonna tell you why this answer is correct and how to identify it or match it with the sentence. So you can see packaging products with something so that product was visible. Again, as I told you, so there should be something about transparent. So here they have said he also introduced the use of cellophane or cellophane, whatever the pronunciation is, the first transparent material for food packaging. So if a material, okay, if this material was, let me use this, if this material was transparent, so obviously the product is visible when we wrap this material around, when we wrap this packaging around the product. So here it is, they have said which allowed customer to see the quality. If you are seeing the quality of the product with inside the packaging, obviously product is visible, so the material that is used is this particular material. I hope it is clear. Moving forward to the next question. Early 1940s USA. So in the early 1940s, so what year could it be? From 1941 to 44. Frozen food became popular because of a shortage of something. So frozen food, they became popular because there was a shortage of something, like shortage of, what can be shortage of something, some material or some food product, shortage of fresh food, we cannot write two words, something like that. Okay, shortage of gas, shortage of fuel to cook, something like that. Okay, so here should be something, shortage of something. Let's see. 1940. But there were still obstacles. In the 1930s, few grocery stores could afford to buy freezers for a market that wasn't established yet. So here's something about 1930s, but we want to find 1940s. So Birdseye leased inexpensive freezer cases to them. He also leased insulated railroad cars so that he could ship his products nationwide. However, few consumers had freezers large enough or efficient enough to take advantage of the products. But this was not successful in 1930s. Sales increased in the early 1940s. Luckily, they have written the same way. But if they haven't, they could have written 1941, 42, 43, or 44, any year of that. When World War II gave a boost to the frozen food industry because tin was being used for munitions. Canned food were rationed to save tin for the war effort, while frozen food were abundant and cheap. So frozen food industry boost. So if something got boost, obviously its sales increased, and if something became popular, it also means its sales or its yeah, obviously food, its sales increased. So because we didn't have like tin cans, because tin was being used for this, so they have to ration to save, so canned food were rationed to save tin. So if something is rationed, so there is basically saving of something. So the effort, while frozen foods were abundant and cheap. So again, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to identify and mark the answer, and your time starts now. Time's up, and I'm going to write the answer here. The answer to this question should be 10. So if you have figured out the correct answer, congratulations. And if you were not able to identify it, if you were confused, or if you are still confused why 10 is our answer, I'm gonna explain it in a second. So if you look closely, they are saying shortage of and rationed. If something is being rationed, if you are dividing something, rationing something, meaning to say you are trying to save it for later use or for some other use. So because of shortage of, so their frozen foods were abundant. So while refers to the opposite situation like frozen foods were abundant. So if the opposite of abundant is shortage. So if something is in abundant and we have written while, meaning to say other thing is opposite of abundant, and opposite of abundant is shortage. I hope it is clear. Moving to the last blanks. 1950s USA. So we have to find 1950s. A large number of homes now had a dash. So we have to find a large number of homes. It could be written a lot of homes, a higher number of homes, something like that. Now had a something. So A meaning to say something singular without S or ES. So we have to write some singular thing, countable singular thing. Finally, by the 1950s, so here is 1950s, refrigerator technology had developed far enough to make these appliances affordable for the average family. Okay, so by 1953, now 33 million US families owned a refrigerator, and manufacturers were gradually increasing the size of the freezer compartments in them. So I'm again going to give you 5 seconds to identify the answer. If you haven't identified till yet, time starts now. Time's up. So here they are saying a large number of, okay, first let me write the answer here. Our correct answer is refrigerator. So why it is the correct answer? So here they are saying a large number of homes now had something. Here they are saying 1950s technology had developed far enough to make refrigerator, obviously technology, these appliances affordable for the average family. And then by 1953, so 1950s refer to from 51 to 59. In 1950, by 1953, 33 million US families. So it's a large number of homes owned a, so here is a refrigerator. So from here we can easily deduce a refrigerator. So a large number of US families. I hope it is clear. Moving on to the next set of questions. So if you have any doubts, you can rewatch them. But first, look at question number 8 to 13. Do the following statement agree with the information given in the reading passage 1? So we have to write true, false, and not true. First question. The ice transportation business made some Boston ship owners very wealthy in the early 1800s. So for this we will use this color. So they are saying ice transportation business made some Boston ship owners very wealthy. Meaning to say they earned a lot of money, fortune. They earned a fortune like from ice transportation business in early 1800s. So if they became wealthy, if they earned like insane amount of money, a lot of money from this particular business, we'll say true. But if they didn't earn a lot of money, or if they had to face losses while doing this business, we'll say false. And if there is no information given whether they made a lot of money or not, whether these businesses were successful or not, something like that about money, or how much money they made from this particular business, we will say not given. So now we know, we have read something about Boston ship owners, about Boston in the first paragraph or thing like that. Let's see. Here it is. Let me use this. 1800s. In the early 1800s, ship owners from Boston, USA had enormous blocks of Arctic ice stored all over the Atlantic for the purpose of food preservation. In 1851, railroads first began putting blocks of ice in insulated rail cars to send butter from this to this. Okay, the location is from here to here. Can you, again, I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to tell me the answer. After that, I will write the answer here. And time starts now. Time's up. And the correct answer to this question is not given. If you ever, oh, sorry about that, I wrote it somewhere. Okay, the correct answer to this question is not given. If you were able to figure it out, good. If you were not, don't worry, I'll tell you why. Because here, if you read carefully, they are saying in the early 1800s, ship owners from Boston, US had enormous blocks of Arctic ice. They are not saying enormous money. They are talking about enormous meaning huge. They were carrying huge blocks of Arctic ice and they towed it from all over the Arctic to the US. Why? For the purpose of food preservation. But did they make a lot of money by doing this particular business, like by transporting ice from Atlantic to the US? We don't know. Or whether they lost money, we don't know that either. So in this particular case, we don't have any information about amount of money they made or they didn't make. So we will say not given. Hope it is clear. Ninth question. A disadvantage of the freezing process invented in Australia was that it affected the taste of the food. So we have to find whether one particular disadvantage of the freezing process invented in Australia, not in the US. You should be very careful here about this Australia. It affected the taste of food. Like the on the top of my mind, the answer that is coming to my mind, I won't tell you right now. If that answer is coming to your mind, still you should verify it. Let's see where was the process in Australia. Australian inventors found a way to make a mechanical ice. They used compressor. Okay, the compressed gas gave up some of its heat as it moved through the condenser. Then the gas was released quickly into low pressure evaporator coil. When it became cold, air was blown. Here something, here is everything about the process, but there is no disadvantage written here. Initially the process was invented to keep this, but cattlemen used for like transporting meat. During the while the frozen food was still palatable, there was some deterioration. During the freezing process, crystals formed within the cells of the just 1 second, guys. During the process, the freezing process, crystals formed within the cells of the food, and when the ice expanded, the cells burst and spoil the flavor and texture of the food. So this is about Australian, and this is our location. Okay. Again, I'm gonna give you some time, 5 seconds to tell me the answer, and after that I'm gonna write it here, and your time starts now. Time's up, and the correct answer is true. I hope you were able to identify the answer. So here it is written, the question number 9. So here it is written, during the freezing process, crystal formed, and when they expand and burst, it spoiled the taste of the food. I hope it is clear. Okay, I forgot to write it here. That's why I was wondering whether I wrote it there or not. Okay, moving on to the next. Hope it is clear why it is true, because it, yes, it affected, it spoiled the flavor. Flavor meaning to say taste of the food. So your answer is true. 10th question. Clarence Birdseye traveled to Labrador in order to learn how the Inuit people froze fish. Again, I don't have to read it, but we will, because we don't want to take any risk. here is the paragraph. So here in the question they are saying this particular person, Clarence Burdeye, traveled to this particular place. Why? To learn how the people froze fish. So if this is the purpose of his visit, we will say true. But if this was not the purpose of the visit, if the purpose was something else, we'll say false. And if there is no information on why he visited there or not, we will say not given. So here is the answer. So from this, in 1912, a biology student in Massachusetts, USA, named Clarence Burdeye ran out of money and went to Labrador in Canada to trap trade and furs. So again, I'm gonna give you some time to mark. Tell me to figure out the answer. Till then, I'm gonna write the location here. Okay, time's up. And the correct answer is false. Why? Because he didn't go there to learn this method, freezing fish. He didn't go to Labrador to learn this method. He went to Labrador because he wanted to trap and trade furs. So he wanted to like trap animals and trade their fur, something like that. Okay, so the purpose of his visit to Labrador is entirely different from what is given in the question. It is opposite to that or in something else entirely different. We will say false. I hope it is clear. 11th question. Swanson Foods invested a great deal of money in promotion of the TV dinner. So this is the name of the company, I believe. They invested a great deal of money, meaning to say a lot of money in the promotion of the TV dinner. So if it is in capitals, so the name it should be name of some dish or some product. So they invested a lot of money. Okay, they spent a lot of money on promoting this particular product. Let's see, up till here where we have read, we haven't read something about Swanson Foods or TV dinner, so we do not have to read it here. We'll go forward from here. 1950s families were looking for convenience at mealtime, so the moment was right for the arrival of TV dinner. So here it is written something about TV dinner. Swanson Foods, again here is the name of the company. Swanson Food was a large nationally recognized producer of canned and frozen poultry. So they produced these two kinds of food products. In 1954, the company adapted some of the bird's eyes freezing techniques, and with the help of a clever name and huge advertising budget, it launched the first TVD. So our answer is from here to here. Again, I'll give you few seconds till I write down the answer. You should try to figure it out. And time's up. I hope you identified the answer, and the answer is sorry about that. True. Okay, I'll tell you why. So here it is clearly written that they had a huge advertising budget. So if I remove this also. So they had a huge advertising budget for their launch of first TV dinner. So they invested a lot of money in promoting TV dinner. It's true. Okay. 12th question. Swanson Foods developed a new style of container for the launch of the TVD. So this particular company, the question is saying that they developed means to say created, invented, innovated, something like that. What they invented? A new style of container. So they invented a new container for launch of TV dinner. So for this particular TV dinner, for the launch of this TV dinner, they created new style of container. So if they created a new style of container, new design of container, new material of container, something like that, we'll say true. But if they didn't create something new, they use something old, we'll say false. And if there is no mention like whether they created something new or not, we'll say not given. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll read ahead. This consisted of frozen turkey, potatoes, and vegetables served in the same segmented aluminum tray that was used by. Okay, our answer is from here to here. So you have again some time to identify the answer. Till then, I'm going to write the location here. Okay, time's up. And the correct answer to this question is false. I hope you identified the correct option. I will tell you why if you haven't. If you wrote 2 or not given, I'll tell you why it is false. So here they're saying created something new, but they are saying they okay, let me remove this for time being. Served in the same segmented aluminum tray that was used by airlines. So they were using the same tray that was used by airlines. So the airlines, the tray the airlines used, they used the same tray. They didn't create anything new. They didn't innovated anything. They didn't develop anything. They used whatever existed at that time. That's why our answer to this is false. Hope it is clear. Moving on to the last question of this particular passage. The US frozen food industry is currently the largest in the world. So when our answer will be true, when the US frozen industry at present is the largest in the world. So if the US frozen industry is largest in the world at present, we don't have to worry what was in the past or what may happen in the future. We just have to worry about the present. If at present it's the largest, biggest in the world, we'll say true. But if it's not the largest, it's the second or third largest or any number after number one, we'll say false. Or if it's like same, like it shares the top spot with like one or two other countries, we'll say even then we will say false. And if there is no information given on this, we'll say not given. Now we'll have to find the present. The product was passed an instant success. Within a year, Swanson had sold again past. American consumers couldn't resist the combination of a trusted brand name, a single serving package, and convenience of a meal that could be ready after 25 minutes in oven. 59 again passed. $2.5 billion in frozen food and half a billion that was spent on ready research. Okay. Today, here's something about present. The US frozen industry has a turnover of over $67 billion annually, with $26.6 billion of that sold to consumers for home consumption. The remaining $40 billion in frozen food sales come through restaurants, cafeterias, hospitals, and schools, and that represents a third of total food service sales. Okay. Now the answer location is to here. You have some time to tell me the answer, to figure out the answer till I write down the location of the question here. You have some time to find out the answer, figure it out. And the correct answer, time's up, and the correct answer is not given. Okay, I'll tell you why. It was quite a straightforward question, but again, if you didn't get it correct, don't worry. listen carefully why it is not given. So in the question they are saying US is the largest market industry in the world. They are just saying the amount of money this industry generates. The turnover it has $67 billion annually. But there is no comparison with the rest of the world. Like, is it the largest, second largest in the world, or things like that. They are just telling the numbers of the US sales, in the frozen industry sales. Other than that, we don't have any information whether it is in first place, second place, or whatever place. That's why our answer to this question should be not B. I hope it is clear. So if you are not sure about any question, if you were confused about any question, feel free to go back to that particular question, listen to it, and repeat it as many times as you want until it is not clear to you. Because if you clear your doubts, if you clarify your doubts, if you teach your mind how to read sentences, how to find out the answers, in the beginning it may take some time, but after some practice, when you get accustomed to it, it will take a fraction of a second to do all this stuff that I am trying to explain to you. For each question it will automatically do that particular stuff. You don't have to teach your mind that do have to do. Like, in the beginning you have to teach it, but once you get enough practice, it will do automatically. You will not have to worry about that. So if you want our help, we will be happy to help you. I'm gonna leave the link to our website in the description box. You can go and contact us there, or you can write in the comment box. If you want our help, we have helped numerous students, countless students to achieve band 7 in their writing and speaking. And if you want our help, you can contact us. We will be happy to help you. We have made one of the most extensive, if not the most extensive course on IELTS. And if you are struggling with your writing or speaking, if you are stuck at 6 or 6.5, this course will help you to achieve band 7 or more. So that's it for this video. I will see you in the next video. Till then, take care and goodbye.